Welcome to the deep dive. We're jumping straight into what feels like a really pivotal time for families
Hmm.
navigating the middle school transition.
Yeah,
It's easy to just think of it as, just changing schools, but it's actually a massive shift in their world, their sense of self, the social stuff, the whole dynamic at home, really.
exactly. And to guide our exploration today, we've got a fantastic resource here. It's a document called Preteen Preparing for Middle School.pdf.
Right.
So our mission, if you like, is to pull out the most crucial insights from this, really helping listeners understand why this stage is so significant and how you can effectively support your preteen through it.
Yeah, and what struck me reading this was just how many different parts of a young person's life get impacted all at once.
Yeah.
You've got this surge in academic expectations, right?
Hmm.
More subjects, bigger projects, demanding whole new levels of organization. Socially, well, it's like entering a completely new ecosystem.
Right.
New peer groups, cliques, the inevitable friend drama,
Oh, definitely.
and then those cognitive leaps, that stage where they start questioning everything, which, as the document points out, is actually a good sign. It's their critical thinking kicking in.
It is.
Plus, a much more complex emotional world. That self-consciousness really ramps up.
That's right. And if we kind of step back, this document highlights that the stakes just feel higher for them now. They're gaining more independence, which is great, of course, but their ability to actually navigate it all is still, well, developing.
Mm-hmm.
So maintaining that close connection you might have had easily in elementary school, it takes a much more intentional approach now.
And I really liked how this document frames the main goal. It's not about trying to control every little detail, is it?
No, not at all.
It's more about becoming a tree partner with your preteen, sort of co-preparing them for the journey, and crucially, keeping those communication lines wide open as they go through all these inevitable changes.
Exactly. Co-preparing. I like that.
Okay, so let's dive into the specifics then.
Right.
What are the key developmental shifts we should really be aware of as our kids move from elementary into middle school?
Okay, so the document breaks this down really nicely into 6 key areas or domains. First up, academic. Your child's likely managing multiple classes, probably for the first time,
Yeah.
tackling longer-term projects that need, sustained focus, and just needing to organize their work across all these different subjects. What stands out to you there?
For me, it's just the sheer increasing complexity. Like you said, it's not just one teacher anymore with one set of expectations.
Right.
Now they're juggling multiple teachers, different styles, different deadlines. That need for really solid organizational skills feels like a huge hurdle.
It really is. And then socially, they're walking into a completely new environment. New peer dynamics, cliques often start forming. And yeah, the friendship drama tends to get a bit more intense.
Definitely a step up from the playground stuff they were used to.
They need new social skills for that.
Then the document points to cognitive milestones, like you mentioned, that increased questioning of authority. That's such a classic middle school thing, isn't it?
It is, and it's important to get that it's not just, rebellion for rebellion's sake. It actually shows their critical thinking developing. They're moving towards more independent thought.
Right.
They're also starting to pick up on more subtle social cues and really understanding the link between actions and consequences in a more nuanced way.
Okay.
Emotionally, well, this is a period of pretty significant growth and sometimes, turmoil. Increased self-consciousness is super typical, along with a much more intense exploration of who they are, their identity, and just feeling emotions more intensely across the board.
That heightened self-awareness can be so tough for them, can't it?
Right.
Suddenly so aware of how others see them.
Precisely.
Oh.
Then you've got the physical domain. This is mainly about puberty, hitting the visible changes, sure, but also all the invisible hormonal shifts going on underneath. Early romantic interests might start popping up, and there's often a lot of comparison happening between peers about physical development.
Oh, yeah. That comparison trap.
Definitely. And finally, the document highlights executive function. It's kind of the umbrella term for skills like time management, actually using a planner, handling digital responsibilities.
Like online stuff.
Exactly. Online safety, communication, that kind of thing. And learning how to communicate effectively with all the different adults in their school world now. Why do you think executive function is so critical here?
Well, it sounds like it's the basic toolkit they need to even manage all those other changes we just talked about, the schoolwork, the social stuff, everything.
That's it.
Without those skills, I can easily see how they just feel completely overwhelmed.
Exactly. Executive function planning, organization, self-control becomes absolutely crucial as they try to manage all these different classes and longer assignments.
Okay.
So with all these big shifts happening across these 6 areas, what are some of the key, maybe behavioral shifts that we as caregivers should be watching out for? Things that might signal underlying challenges. The document calls them potential blind spots.
Right, blind spots. Okay, well, the document flags sudden disengagement from school is a big one. The occasional grade slip might happen, but a real sustained loss of interest. That could signal anxiety, maybe learning difficulties they're struggling to articulate, or just feeling totally overwhelmed by the social scene.
That's a crucial point. And the document stresses it's not just about grades, right? It's about a broader feeling of being disconnected from the whole school experience.
Yeah.
It also mentions a hyperfixation on appearance or trends. How might that signal something deeper?
Well, I can see how focusing intensely on fitting in, on having the right clothes or whatever, might cover up insecurities about their identity, maybe body image issues, or it could just point to really intense peer pressure.
Precisely. I mean, some interest in trends is normal, obviously, but when it becomes excessive, an obsession almost, that can be a red flag.
Okay.
Another potential blind spot is increased secrecy. Now, look, wanting more privacy is totally normal for teens. It's part of wanting autonomy.
Sure.
But it's about noticing a significant, sudden shift towards being really closed off, unwilling to share anything.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
There's a difference between just wanting some quiet time in their room and like a total lockdown on sharing anything about their day or feelings.
Exactly. And pulling back noticeably from hobbies or family activities they used to love can also be concerning.
Right.
This could point to a bunch of things, maybe symptoms of depression, maybe they're being bullied, or it could just be big shifts in their identity and what they're interested in now. The key is a persistent and really marked change.
Okay.
And finally, the document points out those I'm fine shutdowns, the one.
Oh, yeah. The classic.
Middle schoolers often aren't great at verbalizing complex emotions, but boy, do they feel them intensely. So those dismissive replies, or just complete silence, might actually be saying a lot more than the words themselves.
So the key insight there is maybe watching the silences more than the words.
I think so, yeah. Becoming more attuned to the nonverbal cues, the subtle shifts in how they carry themselves, their silence might actually be louder sometimes.
That's such a variable reminder.
Yeah.
We need to look past just the surface responses.
Yeah.
Okay, so the document then expands on these with some more specific red flags. These are maybe smaller things, but they could be early warnings.
Yes, exactly. And the document wisely advises approaching these with curiosity and gentle investigation, not jumping straight to conclusions or punishment.
Right, curiosity first.
One of these is the constant "I'm bored" complaint. Now, it might just sound like typical teen apathy, but it could actually be a way they're avoiding challenges they feel insecure about. Or it might be masking anxiety or just showing general disengagement.
So bored could actually be code for something else entirely. Interesting.
Exactly. Another thing to watch is a sudden major shift in their friend group. Friendships evolve naturally,
Of course.
but a really rapid, drastic change could suggest they're trying hard to redefine their identity, maybe facing new peer pressures, or possibly they've had some kind of big conflict or rejection from their old group.
Okay.
Then there's apathy, that whole "I don't care" attitude. The document suggests this might be a kind of protective shield.
Like emotional numbness.
Yeah, sort of. A numbness that comes from a fear of failing or being rejected or just not feeling like they're good enough.
It's a way to protect themselves from getting hurt, potentially.
It can be, yeah. Other flags include frequent comments like, "they're all fake," or "I hate everyone." That could signal burnout from social exhaustion or maybe feeling excluded. Frequent physical complaints, headaches, stomach aches without a clear medical reason can also be a sign that emotional overload is manifesting physically. Stress, anxiety, maybe even depression.
Wow, okay. The mind-body connection is strong there.
It really is.
Yeah.
And finally, extreme secrecy or lying. This could be them testing independence boundaries, maybe fear of judgment, or they could be hiding something they feel ashamed about.
And again, that emphasis on approaching these with curiosity, not immediate consequences, feels really crucial. Trying to understand the why behind it.
Absolutely.
So how do we actually maintain that connection with our middle schoolers through all this without, hovering or being overbearing? The document talks about a really interesting shift in our role as caregivers.
Yes, it does, and it frames it beautifully as a transition.
Right.
In the younger years, we're often the manager, right, guiding every step.
Yeah, telling them what to do.
Pretty much. As they hit middle school, the goal is to evolve into more of a mentor, helping them figure things out for themselves.
Oh.
And then later in middle school, ideally, we become more of a mirror, prompting them to reflect on their own experiences, what they're noticing about themselves.
Manager, mentor, mirror. That's a really helpful way to think about it. So what are some practical strategies the document suggests for staying connected during this shift?
Okay, well, weekly check-ins are great, but the suggestion is to move beyond the generic, "How was your day?"
Which usually gets fine.
Exactly. Instead, try asking something more specific, more engaging, like, "What's something that surprised you this week?" Or, "What made you laugh today?"
Ah, okay. Different angles?
Yeah. Establishing shared rituals is also really key. Simple things like watching a favorite show together every week, regular walks, game night, even just sharing a meal one-on-one consistently.
Mm-hmm. Predictable connection points.
Precisely. And creating low-pressure spaces for conversation car rides are classic for this.
Oh yeah, the car confessional.
Totally.
Yeah.
Or doing chores together or just before bed. Those moments often lead to more open sharing than a formal sit-down talk.
Those informal moments often feel like the best opportunities, don't they?
Yeah, they really do. And the document also stresses it's not really about the quantity of interactions, but the quality and the consistency of just being a safe, reliable presence for them.
That really resonates, being the safe harbor. Okay, now thinking about our perspectives as caregivers, what are some key mindset shifts this document encourages us to make, maybe before our kids even start middle school?
Yeah, this is important stuff for us. The document presents a really insightful contrast. So instead of thinking, "I need to fix all their problems."
It is tempting.
So tempting. The shift is towards, "I'll help them build the tools to fix their own."
Okay, empowering them.
Exactly. There's also moving away from that thought of, "They should know better by now," and recognizing, actually, they're relearning everything. Social rules, emotional regulation, academics in this much more complex environment.
That's a great reminder for patience and empathy. It's all new terrain for them.
Absolutely. Another important shift is from maybe, I don't want to push them too hard, to understanding, okay, my role is to support them in stretching past their comfort zone a bit. Gentle encouragement.
Mm-hmm. Not letting fear hold them back entirely.
Right. And perhaps the biggest one, when they seem to be pulling away, that feeling of they're shutting me out.
Yeah, that hurts.
It does. But the suggested mindset shift is to recognize, okay, they're learning to hold thoughts privately. That's normal. But my job is to stay consistently available, respecting their independence while keeping the door open.
Those are really powerful adjustments in how we see things. So flipping back to the kids, what specific skills can we start actively practicing with our preteens before they hit middle school to help build that solid foundation?
Okay, several key areas here. Time management is huge. You can work on this by doing weekly planner check-ins together, maybe setting deadlines with countdowns for chores or homework.
Making it practical.
Yeah. Digital hygiene is another massive one. This means open, ongoing talks about online privacy, digital drama, which is inevitable,
Oh, yeah.
and finding a healthy screen time balance. Then expanding their emotional vocabulary. This can be really helpful. Using movies or books as springboards to talk about characters' feelings and dilemmas.
That sounds like a less direct, maybe less awkward way for them to explore complex emotions sometimes.
It can be, yeah. Less pressure. Fostering self-advocacy is also key, encouraging them to be the ones to email teachers with questions.
Instead of us doing it.
Exactly. Or asking for an extension if they genuinely need one, learning to voice their concerns respectfully. You can also encourage identity building by asking open-ended questions like, what kind of friend do you want to be? Or what kind of student?
Getting them thinking about their values.
And finally, modeling healthy stress management ourselves. Showing them how we take breaks, practice deep breathing, reframe negative thoughts, and importantly, how we ask for help when we need it.
Right. Showing is often more powerful than telling, especially with stress. Okay, let's talk about the inevitable bumps in the road. The document gives a really practical four-step approach for handling difficult situations as parents.
Yes, and the very first step is so vital. Regulate yourself first.
Check our own reaction.
Absolutely. Our kids soak up our energy. If we react with panic or anger, it just escalates things. The document even suggests saying something like, okay, I'm noticing I'm feeling pretty worried right now, so I just need to take a breath before we talk about this.
That's such a simple but powerful tool, isn't it? Buys everyone a second. What's step 2?
Lead with genuine curiosity, not control. So instead of launching into accusations or solutions, really try to understand their perspective. Ask open-ended questions. Can you help me understand what happened from your point of view?
Mm-hmm.
How did that feel for you? Or, looking back, is there anything you wish you'd done differently?
Getting their side of the story without judgment initially.
Exactly. Step 3 is to collaborate on consequences or solutions. This shifts it from punishment being done to them taking some ownership and learning from it.
Right.
So asking things like, okay, so what do you think needs to happen next? Or how can we work together to rebuild trust here?
Getting their input on the fix seems like it would build way more responsibility.
It really does foster buy-in. And the final step, step 4, is modeling repair. If we mess up, if we overreact,
Which we all do sometimes.
we absolutely do. It's important to own that. A simple, you know what, I came in pretty hot there and that wasn't helpful, let's try talking about this again, can build massive trust and show them it's okay to make mistakes and learn.
That vulnerability is so powerful for connection. Okay, the document also touches on discipline strategies that tend to work better in middle school.
Yes, and the emphasis is definitely on approaches that encourage learning and accountability rather than just punishment. Natural consequences are highlighted.
Letting the situation teach the lesson.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Allowing the logical outcome of their actions to be the teacher, like missing a deadline means a lower grade, not necessarily parental yelling. Then collaborative problem solving, working together to figure out how to avoid the issue next time. That builds skills. Emotion coaching before correction. This means acknowledging their feelings first, then addressing the behavior, like, I see you're really upset right now, and we still need to sort this out. Let's figure out how to do both.
That validates their feelings while still holding the line. I like that.
Exactly. Consistent boundaries are key, but they need to be flexibly enforced. Reinforcing that the rules matter, but they can always talk to you about things.
The door is always open, even if the rules don't change.
Right. And finally, having quiet follow-ups, discussing mistakes privately, not making a big public scene about it, is way more effective during the super self-conscious stage.
That makes total sense. They're so aware of peer judgment then.
Okay.
This document includes a pre-middle school talk checklist. What are some crucial conversations we should aim to have before they make the leap?
Yeah, these are framed as key chats to have between, say, 5th and 6th grade, and definitely spread them out, not one giant awkward talk.
Good tip.
Puberty and body autonomy is critical. Talking openly about what physical changes to expect, making it okay to ask questions, and reinforcing personal boundaries, what's okay, what's not. De-shaming it.
Totally.
Navigating friendship conflicts is another essential one. How to handle gossip, inclusion, exclusion issues, and the fact that friend groups do change, and that's okay.
Preparing them for the social complexities.
Exactly. Technology and online privacy needs ongoing discussion. What's okay to post, share, say online. Protecting personal info. Normalizing feelings and talking about mental health is vital. Letting them know anxiety, sadness, anger are normal, and seeking help is strong, not weak.
Reducing that stigma early.
Yes.
Yeah.
And finally, kind of shifting the frame on school ownership, helping them see that they are becoming the CEO of their learning now,
Okay.
and you're moving into more of a coach or consultant role, not the day-to-day manager anymore.
That's a really empowering way to frame it for them. Okay, the document also bravely includes a section on what not to say. I think we could all use reminders here.
Oh, definitely. Middle schoolers can be so sensitive to phrasing, and some common things just shut down conversation, like, because I said so.
The classic shutdown.
Right, it offers zero understanding. Better to try, here's why this rule matters to me, or here's the thinking behind this. Dismissing worries with don't worry about it invalidates their feelings.
Makes them feel silly for worrying.
Exactly. Instead, try acknowledging it. It's okay to feel nervous. What part feels biggest right now? Asking, why would you do that? Often sounds accusatory.
Puts them on the defensive immediately.
Totally. Try a more neutral, what was going through your mind when that happened? Telling them you're too sensitive dismisses their whole emotional experience. Better to validate. Your feelings make sense here. Do you want to talk or take some space?
Acknowledging the feeling, even if you don't agree with the reaction.
Right. And comparing them to younger kids with, you're acting like a baby, that's just hurtful and unhelpful. Better to address the feeling or behavior directly. It seems like something's really overwhelming you right now. Can we figure it out together?
Those alternatives are so much better. They really focus on validating and keeping the door open.
Okay, conversely, the document also highlights some crucial, maybe awkward conversations we should be having.
Yes, leaning into the discomfort is key here. Normalizing mental health is huge. Talking openly about therapy, expressing emotions healthily, self-awareness, it reduces stigma, makes it easier for them to ask for help later if they need it.
Hmm.
Providing clear, honest info about puberty and body changes helps clarify myths, reduces shame. Framing talks about sex, consent, boundaries around safety, respect, and readiness, not just fear or silence, is vital.
Setting foundation of respect.
Absolutely. Talking about values to your families and helping them explore their own emerging values helps them build a moral compass, understand the why behind choices, not just follow rules blindly.
That's a deeper conversation.
It is. And this one can be hard, but sharing some of your past mistakes and what you learned, that builds authenticity, makes you more relatable, shows learning is lifelong.
Makes you human. Exactly. And engaging in critical conversations about the internet and social life, not just restrictions, but helping them think critically about their digital footprint, online pressures, identifying misinformation.
Equipping them, not just blocking them.
Precisely. It's about giving them the tools to navigate that world wisely. Okay, the document wraps up with some really practical extra tips and tricks for navigating middle school while staying connected.
More tools for the toolbox. Love it.
One core idea is aiming to be always available, rarely overbearing. Let them know you're there consistently without hovering. Maybe saying something like, "You don't have to talk right now, but just know if something's weighing on you, I'm here to listen. No judgment."
Keeping that door consistently open and safe.
Yeah. And instead of the often useless, "How was your day?" try what the document calls check-in stacking, layering casual, specific questions throughout the day or week.
Like little micro check-ins.
Kind of. Like, what was the funniest thing that happened today? Or did anything annoy you at school? Or anything surprise you in a good way? Just different low-pressure ways in.
Gotcha. Less interrogation, more curiosity.
Exactly. Using rituals, even small ones, helps keep the door open. Weekly one-on-one time, maybe a shared journal you write back and forth in, shared playlists, shows, food traditions, anything consistent.
Those little points of connection matter.
They really do. And finally, practicing being a low-volume listener. This means consciously trying to just sit back, nod, offer brief affirming sounds or words.
Like, okay, wow.
Without immediately jumping in with advice, solutions, or your own stories, just letting them talk, creating space for them to process out loud, it can really encourage them to share more.
That takes practice, holding back the advice. But I can see how it would work.
Okay.
The document then offers some really valuable reflection prompts for us, the caregivers. Questions we should maybe ask ourselves.
Absolutely. These are good reality checks. Like, am I projecting my own middle school fears or experiences onto my child, or am I truly listening to their unique experience?
Ooh, that's a big one.
It is. Or what boundaries do I need to update? Maybe loosen, maybe tighten for this next phase of their independence. Also, how do I actively show trust even when I'm feeling nervous about them navigating this?
Showing trust, not just saying it.
And maybe the most important, what kind of relationship am I building now that they'll still feel comfortable turning back to later when things get even more complex?
Thinking long-term connection.
Exactly. And there are even deeper prompts, like asking ourselves, am I correcting more than I'm connecting right now? Or do I expect my child to have adult-level emotional tools that, frankly, they haven't learned yet?
Right, remembering they're still developing.
And when my child messes up, do they primarily fear punishment, or do they generally trust me to help them learn and grow from it? That says a lot about the dynamic.
Wow, that's powerful.
And finally, have I genuinely made space for their changing identity, even if it looks different from what I imagined or hoped for?
Those are incredibly thought-provoking questions. Real moments for self-reflection. The closing reminder in the document feels so important. Middle schoolers, even when they seem prickly or resistant, fundamentally need that soft place to land, that secure base. They will challenge us, they'll pull away sometimes, confuse us, maybe disappoint us.
It happens.
But they'll also surprise us with their growth, trust us in new ways, and really blossom. And our prep work now isn't about controlling their path, right? It's about building that strong scaffolding so they have the freedom and support to navigate it confidently.
Beautifully put. Scaffolding for freedom.
And that final thought really hits home. Middle school isn't just a test for kids, it's a test for connection. Strong transitions happen when our kids feel secure, seen for who they're becoming, and consistently supported.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the call to action is clear. Start practicing these things now. Be the calm, steady presence in what can sometimes feel like a bit of a storm brewing.
That's a really great summary. This deep dive into the pre-team preparing for middle school.pdf just underscores how multifaceted this transition really is. It's so much more than just changing buildings.
Ah,
It touches every part of their development, academic, social, emotional, cognitive, physical. The document really hammers home the crucial role of keeping that connection strong, fostering open communication, and just striving for genuine understanding of what they're going through.
absolutely. And it's about us evolving too, isn't it?
Mhm.
Shifting our own mindsets as caregivers, equipping ourselves with these practical, empathetic strategies to navigate what's, yes, complex, but ultimately a really rewarding journey alongside them.
So maybe for you, our listener, just reflecting on all these big developmental leaps happening in middle school, what's one small but maybe meaningful adjustment you could make in your approach this week? Just one thing to offer better support to your preteen.
Yeah, it could be anything.
Maybe it's consciously making time for a quick one-on-one check-in, maybe trying one of those different conversation starters instead of how is school, or maybe just reminding yourself next time they're talking to practice being that low-volume listener for a few extra seconds.
Small steps.
Exactly. We really encourage you to keep exploring these ideas, think about what resonates for your family, and maybe even share your own experiences as you navigate this time.
Thanks so much for joining us for this deep dive. We'll be back soon with more insights.